Most people grow up hearing that vegetables are always good for you. Eat your veggies, we're told, as if it's an unshakable law of health, and for the most part, that's true. Vegetables are nutrient dense, low in calories, high in fiber, and loaded with antioxidants. But the problem is, not all vegetables work the same way in the body, especially when it comes to joint health. That's something most people never learn, and by the time joint pain or stiffness sets in, it feels like it came out of nowhere. The truth is, it didn't. It's been building quietly, day by day, often from foods that we believed were helping us. Now, let me make something clear. I'm not here to demonize vegetables. I'm here to help you understand which ones may be silently contributing to inflammation and why. It's a nuance that could make the difference between years of unnecessary pain and a future where you feel mobile, flexible, and energized. This matters even more as we age because after age 40, the body becomes increasingly sensitive to inflammation. The immune system changes, our recovery slows, and certain foods that once felt fine at 25 or 30 can now act as silent saboteurs. Some vegetables, specifically ones that are high in compounds like oxalates and lectins, can irritate the gut lining, increase systemic inflammation, and trigger immune responses that directly affect the joints. For some people, this leads to stiffness in the knees, soreness in the wrists or ankles, or even a deep aching in the hips that just doesn't go away. It feels like aging, but it's not just aging. It's what you're putting into your body every day. And it's reversible. Let's talk about oxalates. These are naturally occurring compounds found in many plant foods, but in high amounts, they can bind to calcium and form crystals in the body. Those crystals don't just stay in the kidneys. They can deposit in the joints and tissues, aggravating inflammation. Spinach, beet greens, and Swiss chard are all high in oxalates. Now, does that mean you should never eat them? Not necessarily, but if you already have joint issues or you're experiencing chronic pain or stiffness, then you need to become more strategic with your intake. Moderation isn't just a good idea, it's a tool for longevity. Then there are lectins, found in nightshades like tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers. Lectins are plant proteins that can, in some individuals, increase gut permeability, what some call leaky gut. When that happens, undigested food particles and inflammatory molecules can enter the bloodstream and cause systemic immune responses. The joints, because of their sensitive connective tissues and slower blood flow, often bear the brunt of this inflammation. You eat a tomato-rich salad thinking you're fueling your body, and hours later, your fingers are stiff, your knees ache, and you feel tired. That's not coincidence. That's cause and effect. Here's the truth. It's not about avoiding vegetables altogether. It's about recognizing which ones might be working against you, even when your intentions are right. Most people don't even consider the idea that some healthy foods might be wrong for their unique biology. They keep chasing anti-inflammatory pills, ice packs, and massages without ever looking at the most obvious source, the food on their plate. By removing certain vegetables from your diet, even for a trial period of 2 to 4 weeks, you give your body a break. You allow the inflammation to calm down, you allow your joints to heal, you allow energy to return, because when inflammation goes down, energy production in your cells goes up. That's the trade-off. Less hidden inflammation equals more energy, more mental clarity, less pain. So before you reach for that raw spinach smoothie or pile on the roasted peppers, stop and ask yourself, is this energizing me? Or is it slowly wearing me down? That one question could completely change the way you age. When people think of inflammation or joint pain, they often point to aging, past injuries, or overuse. But very few people ever consider that the vegetables they're eating, vegetables they've been told are healthy, might be the very things quietly triggering that pain. Now, I'm not talking about junk food or processed sugar here. I'm talking about foods that appear in almost every health-conscious kitchen. Foods that are colorful, vibrant, often raw and packed with nutrients, but also packed with compounds that, in the wrong body at the wrong time, can drive inflammation and wear down your joints faster than you think. Let's start with tomatoes. Tomatoes are rich in vitamins, sure. They contain lycopene, which is known for its antioxidant properties. But what most people don't know is that tomatoes also belong to a group of vegetables called nightshades, and they're loaded with compounds like solanine and lectins, plant chemicals that, in some people, disrupt the gut lining and lead to inflammatory responses throughout the body. If you've ever eaten a tomato-rich meal, say a salad with raw tomatoes or a pasta sauce, and notice joint stiffness later that day or the next morning, that's not coincidence. That's a reaction. And it may be subtle at first, maybe just a little less mobility or a bit of pressure in the knees. But over time it builds. Joint tissues become more sensitive. Recovery slows. Pain lingers longer than it used to. Now consider eggplants. Again, they're often recommended as a meat substitute because they're hearty, versatile, and plant-based. But eggplants are another nightshade, and they contain high levels of solanine, an alkaloid that, in susceptible individuals, can irritate nerve endings and increase the sensation of pain. What's more, solanine has been shown to interfere with enzymes that help break down certain neurotransmitters, which can heighten inflammation and even increase joint stiffness. For someone already dealing with arthritis or early joint degeneration, that's a recipe for daily discomfort. You might not even realize the connection because the damage doesn't happen in one bite. It accumulates, and then we have peppers, bell peppers, chili peppers, banana peppers. These too are nightshades, and they come with their own risks. While they're rich in vitamin C and often seen as anti-inflammatory, their skins and seeds contain lectins and capsaicin. In small, occasional doses, these compounds can actually offer benefits. But when eaten frequently, especially in raw or undercooked form, they can irritate the digestive tract, disrupt the gut, brain, joint connection, and set off a low-grade inflammation that slowly eats away at cartilage health. This isn't theoretical, it's biochemical. The gut is where most of your immune system resides, and when it's inflamed, your whole body gets the signal that something's wrong. The joints, especially, are often the first to speak up. The challenge is that these vegetables don't cause problems for everyone, but that's exactly why they're so tricky, because most people won't question them. If you're over 40 and dealing with joint stiffness, chronic pain, or fatigue, you may chalk it up to aging or lack of exercise. But if you're regularly consuming these three vegetables, tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers, you may be unknowingly feeding the very inflammation you're trying to fight. Now, this doesn't mean you have to give them up forever. The idea isn't permanent restriction. It's intelligent experimentation. Try removing them for just 2 or 3 weeks. That's all. During that time, listen to your body. Watch how your joints respond. Pay attention to your energy levels when you wake up, how your knees feel when you climb stairs, how your hands feel when you grip something or carry groceries. Those little signals, those micro improvements, are your body telling you something is working. Once you start tuning in, you'll be shocked at how clear the connection becomes. You might even reintroduce one of these vegetables and instantly feel the old stiffness return. That's powerful feedback. It's the kind of feedback your body's been giving you all along, but you just weren't taught how to listen. So the next time you reach for that bright red pepper or pile tomatoes on your plate, remember this. Healthy doesn't mean healthy for everyone. And sometimes the foods you least expect are the ones doing the most harm. There's something most people miss when they're dealing with joint pain or low energy. They think the two are separate problems. One is physical, the other is mental or metabolic. But they're deeply connected. Inflammation doesn't just affect your joints, it affects your whole system, including how much energy you have on a cellular level. Most of your energy is produced in the mitochondria, tiny powerhouses inside your cells, and when your body is under chronic inflammation, especially from food, those mitochondria don't function optimally. So instead of generating the energy you need to feel strong, clear, headed, and focused, your body gets stuck in repair mode, constantly fighting low-level threats. Now here's the problem. If you're eating foods that silently cause inflammation, like the vegetables we've already talked about, your body has to divert energy away from performance and toward defense. It's like trying to drive with the parking brake halfway on. You might still move forward, but everything takes more effort. You wake up tired even after a full night's sleep. You try to get through your day, but everything feels a little heavier. It's subtle, but it wears on you. That lack of energy is not just about stress or aging or not getting enough caffeine. It's about internal inflammation sapping your reserves hour after hour. And where does that inflammation often start? In the gut. The gut and the joints are more connected than most people realize. About 70% of your immune system lives in your gut lining. When that lining is irritated by certain plant compounds, preservatives, or even stress, it becomes more permeable. That means particles that shouldn't enter the bloodstream start leaking through, and when they do, the immune system responds as if there's a threat. That threat triggers inflammation, and guess where it shows up? In the joints, in the connective tissue, in the places where blood flow is already slower and healing is harder. This internal war uses up your energy without you realizing it. Your body isn't lazy, it's busy fighting. Every ounce of energy it spends trying to calm down the inflammation is energy you can't use for clear thinking, productive work, or simply enjoying movement. That's why so many people feel chronically exhausted, but can't find a reason for it in their lifestyle. They're eating all the right things, but the right things for one person can be completely wrong for another, especially when inflammation is involved. When you reduce that inflammation, by identifying and removing trigger foods, you stop that unnecessary energy drain. Suddenly, your body doesn't have to fight, it gets to repair. Your mitochondria can go back to doing their actual job, producing clean, stable energy, not the kind that spikes and crashes, but the kind that allows you to move through your day with clarity, stamina, and even optimism. That's the real win. It's not just about less joint pain, it's about more life in your day. So, if you're constantly reaching for more coffee, more naps, more reasons why you feel tired all the time, it might not be about what's missing. It might be about what you're still consuming that's quietly taking your energy away. Once you start pulling out the vegetables that quietly trigger inflammation, the natural next question is, what do you eat instead? What can you put on your plate that actually supports joint health and gives you more energy, not less? This is where things get interesting because the right vegetables don't just avoid doing harm, they actively help your body repair. They feed your cells, nourish your joints, and stabilize your energy throughout the day. The key is understanding which vegetables fall into that category and why. Let's talk about cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. These are loaded with sulfur, containing compounds like sulforaphane, which have powerful anti-inflammatory effects. They support detoxification in the liver, help reduce oxidative stress, and most importantly, they calm down inflammatory markers in the body. That means less swelling in the joints, better range of motion, and reduced discomfort over time. Plus, they're rich in fiber, which keeps your gut healthy, and as we've already covered, a healthy gut is the foundation for both joint support and steady energy. Then there's sweet potatoes. They're often overlooked because people associate them with carbs, but that's a mistake. Sweet potatoes are complex carbohydrates that come with a rich spectrum of nutrients, beta, carotene, potassium, magnesium, and fiber. All of these contribute to muscle function, joint recovery, and blood sugar stability. When your blood sugar is stable, you don't get the crashes that make you feel sluggish halfway through the day. Your energy remains consistent, and that's the kind of fuel your joints love: slow, steady, sustainable. Zucchini is another great option. It's easy to digest, low in lectins, and packed with antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin. These aren't just good for your eyes, They play a role in reducing systemic inflammation and protecting connective tissue. When you start replacing inflammatory vegetables with ones like zucchini, you're not just removing a problem, you're giving your body building blocks to rebuild strength and flexibility from the inside out. And let's not forget leafy greens like arugula and romaine. These are low oxalate alternatives to spinach, and they deliver a strong dose of vitamins A and K, which are essential for joint lubrication and bone density. People often think of bones and joints as separate, but they are part of the same system. When you support your bones, you reduce the pressure on your joints. These greens also promote nitric oxide production, which improves circulation. Better circulation means more nutrients reaching your joints and faster removal of waste products that contribute to stiffness and pain. The takeaway here is that food can be your pharmacy if you choose the right ingredients. You don't need exotic superfoods. You need consistency with the vegetables that truly serve your biology. These swaps, broccoli for tomatoes, sweet potato instead of peppers, arugula in place of spinach, may sound small, but they create a powerful shift in how your body operates. Over time, you'll start noticing less stiffness when you wake up, better mobility during exercise, and a kind of natural energy that doesn't require caffeine or sugar to maintain. Because real energy doesn't come from stimulation. It comes from removing what drains you and feeding what builds you. One thing people often overlook when trying to improve their joint health and energy is timing. We focus so much on what to eat that we rarely ask when to eat it, but timing matters, especially if you want to reduce inflammation, support recovery, and get the most out of your food. The body isn't just a machine where you throw in fuel and get predictable output. It's dynamic, it responds to rhythms, circadian rhythms, activity cycles, stress levels, and when you align your nutrition with those rhythms, the impact becomes exponential. Take antioxidant-rich vegetables, for example. Eating them before physical activity can actually help buffer the stress your joints will experience. Whether it's a walk, a resistance workout, or even stretching, there's always some wear and tear happening at the cellular level. But when you load your body with the right nutrients beforehand, say a meal with steamed broccoli and some sweet potato, you create a protective environment in your tissues. The antioxidants go to work, neutralizing free radicals before they can do damage. It's a simple strategy that has a profound impact over time. Post-activity is just as important. After movement, your body is primed for repair. This is when inflammation tends to spike, not the kind that's harmful, but the natural kind that signals we need to rebuild. If you support your body with anti-inflammatory vegetables at this stage, you help reduce excess inflammation and accelerate recovery. It's the difference between feeling sore and stiff for 2 days and bouncing back by the next morning. The timing of your food literally shapes the quality of your recovery, and there's another layer to this digestion. When you eat at irregular times, especially late at night or under stress, your digestion suffers. You don't absorb nutrients as efficiently. That means even if you're eating the right vegetables, your body might not be able to extract the benefits. But when you eat your meals consistently during daylight hours when your metabolism is more active, your body can actually use what you're giving it. That leads to better gut health, lower inflammation, and more steady energy throughout the day. So if you're already focusing on the right foods, don't miss the opportunity to time them right. It's one of the most underrated ways to take control of your energy, your recovery, and how quickly your joints bounce back. When it comes to protecting your joints and boosting your energy, it's not just about what you eat or when you eat. It's also about the small daily rituals that either support or sabotage your progress. Most people underestimate how powerful simple, consistent actions can be over time. The body thrives on rhythm, and when you start building a structure around joint support and cellular energy, everything starts working together. It doesn't take hours a day. It just takes awareness and a little consistency. Start in the morning. One of the first things I recommend is movement. Gentle, intentional movement. Not exercise, not a full workout. Just getting your body in motion early in the day. This could be a 5-minute walk, a few hip circles, or a light mobility flow. What you're doing is increasing circulation, getting synovial fluid moving in the joints, and sending a signal to your nervous system that the body is ready to be used. When you pair that with hydration, adding electrolytes or even just a pinch of sea salt, you support your joints from the inside out. Joints are mostly water, and dehydration, even mild, can make them feel stiff and brittle. Sunlight is another piece people forget. Morning light exposure isn't just good for mood, it regulates your circadian rhythm, which controls everything from hormone balance to mitochondrial function. And since mitochondria are responsible for producing energy at the cellular level, that one habit getting sunlight in your eyes in the first hour of the day indirectly influence how much energy your cells produce and how well your joints recover. Then there's the role of mental stress. Chronic low-level stress keeps your body in a constant state of inflammation, even when your diet is clean. This is where breathwork, mindfulness, or just 5 minutes of calm can make a real difference. A relaxed nervous system promotes better digestion, better absorption of nutrients, and less inflammatory signaling throughout the body. When you calm your system, you make space for repair. Pairing the right vegetables with these kinds of daily practices creates a feedback loop. Your body starts healing faster, you start feeling better in the mornings, pain decreases, energy rises, and because the changes are slow and steady, they actually stick. This isn't about overhauling your life, it's about upgrading the foundation, one layer at a time. The future of your joints and your energy isn't built in big dramatic moments. It's built in quiet, consistent choices you make each day. So when we talk about protecting your joints and unlocking more energy, it's not just about avoiding a few vegetables or adding a few others. It's about stepping back and realizing that every bite, every movement, every habit either moves you closer to pain or closer to power. You're not stuck with the stiffness, the fatigue, or the slow decline that so many people accept as normal. Your body is incredibly responsive. When you remove the triggers, nourish it with the right foods, and align your habits with your biology, change happens. Not in months, but in days. This is your invitation to stop surviving and start rebuilding. Because your best years are not behind you. They're waiting for the moment you decide to protect your body, fuel it wisely, and live with intention.